Yeah. Blackjack. Life is like a game of cards. It's not what you dealt, but how you play it. Yeah. Blackjack. To play each situation correctly. I remember they used to laugh at a brother.
Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. It's your boy DELRAY, Richardson, platinum artist, platinum songwriter, Straight Game TV. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your time. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button as it pushes the content out to more potential subscribers and the people who are already subscribed to the channel. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe yourself and tell a friend. But most importantly, if you're new to the channel and you would like to be notified when I drop some of this straight game, please do me a favor and hit the bell notification right below this video. I'm going to get right into it. We've been set up, y'all. We've been set up. Man, 2Pac was so powerful. This is the part that I like to get into when I talk about 2Pac, right? Because the music, or should I say the message in the music, has been deliberately removed. And that's what made 2Pac so powerful, right? So when we talk about being able to drop a jewel and it stick and you listen to the music so the music can teach you and you can learn from the music, I'll give you a prime example of what I'm talking about. When I was back on the East Coast, right, before I moved to California, I had family in California, right? When I was back on the East Coast, I used to listen to Ice Cube. And one of the songs that I listened to intently before I was coming to California, and I took it as game because I took it like he was dropping something important, right? And I don't think he was, giving it to the people on the East Coast or wherever. I just think he was speaking from a perspective of where he was from. And the song was called How to Survive in South Central, right? And so when he said, well, busting a cap is fundamental, right? And he basically, in that song right there, gave us, you, me, or whoever was willing to listen, the blueprint on how to survive in South Central. For the most part, if you will, right? And so when we talk about that, there's no more Ice Cubes. There's no more 2Pac's. There's no more Public Enemies. There's no more Brand Nubians. Brothers who were dropping jewels and giving game so that you could listen to their music, and they were a little bit older than we were at that particular time, right? But you could listen to their music and you could actually learn something, right? And so I say that to say, in dealing with the brother PnB Rock again, I guess you can call this part two, because in a lot of the music, or as well as other artists, and a lot of the music today, all you hear is they talking about somebody is their ops, right? And let's look into that. I seen a video the other day with T.I. T.I. was talking about, where they got the word ops from. And it was Call of Duty, special ops, right? You know the cold part about it? People are using words and they don't even really know what they mean. If we're to say, okay, the word ops and all of that, in relation to your enemy or whoever, right? The word special ops, if we're taking that it came from Call of Duty, the word ops means operations, special operations unit, right? But you have some people who've taken that and used that and put a negative connotation to it as it relates to their enemy, which is usually another black man, right? Right. And so when I say the message in the music is gone, all you had to do, and people say, This is why Tupac is studied in universities and things like that. All you had to do was just listen to Live and Die in L.A. Right? And it's so right there in your face, if you will. And like I said, a lot of people in like you had I think it was the rapper Little Xan. He had said something in regards to Tupac and something derogatory in regards to Tupac, right? You know, I don't know if it's the people at the label telling them to say stuff like that, because if you say something, you know, negative about Tupac, you know, it'll gain you some publicity. You know, people will come at you and say things about you because Tupac has such a loyal fan base, if you will, right? You know, and so when we talk about that, the key to this is, and you got to pay attention to it, right? Is if you listen to Live and Die in L.A., there was a few things, right, that Tupac said in that particular song that would have helped save the brother PnB Rock if he ever really listened to Tupac, if he listened to him. And one of those lyrics in part was and you got to listen to this, man. It's so important, so powerful, man. He said, as we shed tears, we bury brothers close to heart. What was a friend now was a ghost in the dark. Cold-hearted about it. Listen, a brother got smoked by a fiend trying to floss on him. Blind to a broken man's dream. A hard lesson. Right? And then he goes in to say, he said, it's the city of angels in constant danger. South Central LA can't get no stranger. Full of drama like a soap opera on a curb. Watching the bird, the helicopters, I observed. Right? So powerful. And, you know, that was one of the things I think Tupac learned, because he had lived a lot of places, you know, Baltimore, New York, and all of that he learned in coming to California, if you will, right? You know, so I never really seen Tupac, like even the night at the House of Blues, or the night at the Hollywood Athletic Club, or the night at the Chris Tucker party. All of the times that I've ever kicked it with him, I never seen him heavy jewel down, real heavy. You know what I mean? The night in Vegas was different, right? So what that told me is he basically understood and followed those rules, if you will. Not that he didn't have jewelry, not that he didn't have a Rolex, not that he didn't have all of that stuff. But like I said, you know, why would he put that in his lyrics, right? In regards to what that meant and what that was. That was those little jewels that he would drop. And if you're listening to the music, you could learn something that was valuable that might save your life. And like I said, once again, the whole song that Ice Cube did in regards to how to survive in South Central. And he starts off with busting a cap is fundamental. You know, and like I said, for me, I listened to that. I paid attention to that. Like, yo, you know, that's like you coming into somebody else's town and they giving you the rundown. Look, over here, you got to do this. Over here, you can't do that. You know, that's that over there, and so on and so forth. And I know some pretty thorough people when I came to California. You know what I mean? So, you know, and, you know, I came from the streets myself, but I never really wanted to advertise that or brag about that, or, you know, because there's nothing really to brag about. You know, I didn't, you know, I don't think no real street guy who did that, you know, anybody who really came from that and has an opportunity to get away from that, that's the last thing that they want to return to is being in the street life. And so it wasn't really nothing to brag about, because it's nothing that you really wanted to do. It was something that you kind of fell into because everybody else was doing it, you know, in your neighborhood. And that was what that thing was. Not everybody, but a lot of people were doing it in the neighborhood, whether it was selling drugs, whether it was whatever, right? And so from that perspective, that's the thing that I'm talking about when I would listen to hip hop. Hip hop has always been a teacher. I go back to one of my mentors in the whole hip hop game, my man Melly Mel, right? When I got a chance to meet him, I was so grateful because the message was so on point. That was one of those records that taught me, like, oh, he was in New York. You know, I was in Maryland. But what he was talking about was going on in my neighborhood too. A child is born in a state of mind, blind to the ways of mankind. God's smiling on you, but he's frowning too. And only God knows what you'll go through. And you know the rest of the song, the message, right? And so this is the thing that has been lost in the music, man. And it's been lost deliberately. They're not signing artists that are saying anything positive, anything uplifting, anything worthy, anything of giving guidance. We've been set up. And so when I think about the brother PnB Rock, you know, I seen a couple of other songs that I paid attention to. And a lot of times it's a lot of these gun gestures, you know, like, you know, shooting at the camera, but whatever, and relaying a message that, oh, I'll do this or I'll do that, and so on and so forth. Once again, man, we didn't really have that, you know, in hip hop. You know, it was Around the Way Girl, you know, it was EPMD, you know, it was Salt and Pepper, you know, it was MC Hammer, you know, and then when NWA came, with the difference that changed the game with NWA was talking about where they were from and how it was dealing with the police and so on and so forth. Just like that cloth that Ice Cube was cut from that perspective, right? So I didn't really take it as if they were promoting violence. They were just talking about where they came from, right? Which was very educational. If you were somewhere, you lived in Kansas City, Missouri, you live in Oklahoma somewhere, right? You know, LA is where the gang culture, you know, and all of that come from. And so if you were listening, you could learn something. You understand what I'm saying? So it's always educational, right? But everybody will not receive that message the same way as I said before. So I just wanted to say this in regards to the brother PnB Rock and any other hip hop artists that are out there right now. You got to change the message, man. You got to change the message, because a lot of stuff that a lot of guys are talking about, they've never really lived it before. You know what I mean? It's something that the record companies want to promote. And they'll promote that. Oh man, you know, and like I said, it's not that it sells. It's just what they want you to do. Remember the brother from Poe Righteous Teachers, and he spoke on it so eloquently in this video.
Yet it also speaks to the environment in which we are embedded as young black males and females in this particular society. You know, hip hop changing from positive to negative was not a consequence of history. It was not a circumstance of history. It was nothing that just happened on its own. It had nothing to do with the changing of the times. It had nothing to do with that. It had everything to do with the fact that there are people in this particular society who wants to see us exactly where we are. And we cannot let that point elude us. These are the facts.
And I'm gonna leave it at that. Your boy DELRAY, straight gang.